Hello guys and girls, how you going? Screwzilla here, I hope you're all well. So, welcome back to Formula 1 2017. Possibly, if it's working. There we go. And I just want to show you the joys of being a McLaren Honda driver. So, let us watch. Now we're at Baku here, and we're currently in a fight with these three drivers, a Williams, a Toro Rosso and a Renault. And as you see, we have no straight line speed. We're getting caught by the straights. But the great thing is about the McLaren is it has a good chassis. So even though we got passed by three people on the straight, luckily the Renault did not have DRS, we managed to get back into the slipstream just as they'd got past, and luckily they'd only passed towards the sort of end of the straight, so we were getting towards turn 1. So here we go, into turn 1. Take the inside line, get past the Renault, get past the Toro Rosso, and we are going to squeeze past the Williams of Lance Stroll here, and we just miss the rear wheel here of him. Brakes are glowing a bit hot because of the extreme braking there from the deceleration of getting through that corner without completely stuffing everything up, but we have kept our position for another lap. So F1 2017 is a lot of fun. I've been really enjoying it. This is my first season mode. I'm driving the McLaren Honda, as you can see. I've been promoted to number 1 driver. I beat Fernando Alonso in my teammate battle. Take the inside line there again. And now I'm talking to you, I'm going to be taking my mind off of the driving. So we'll just rewind a little bit there. So I managed to get past Alonso, become the number 1 driver. He's still my teammate though, which is good, because I still want him to be my teammate because he's a very good driver. But at least now I have access to better research parts. Now, this race I started from about 17th, I think. And I made up to P9 without too much trouble. Simply because of the start. Now, the AI difficulty is on a relatively high amount here. I don't know if I can show... There we go. So 85%, not a huge amount, so that's why they're a little bit dumb, but they're still giving a good challenge, and that's mainly because I'm using a joypad. So the gamepads do make a difference in the game. I'm actually trying to get my steering wheel working properly for the game, but that's not really working out for me, unfortunately. Every time I've tried it, the sensitivity is just a bit shot on it. It's a bit of an old wheel, it's an old Thrustmaster wheel. So, unfortunately, whenever I use it, everything becomes stuffed up and I end up crashing very quickly. So here on the straight again, we're going to get passed by quite a few cars. Now, Williams might be a bit too far ahead now. Yeah, but Williams has taken away now because we just couldn't get that slipstream fast enough. And now, unfortunately, we've got a second straight coming up, and he has DRS, and I don't. And this is one of the problematic things of driving the McLaren, is you really feel underpowered. But the great thing about this car is it has a fantastic chassis. So, cornering, you have a huge advantage over pretty much everyone bar the Mercedes and the Ferrari. Red Bull as well, they're pretty much equal terms at the start of the season in Australia, but as you go on, they will develop a bit quicker than you. And soon be a better sort of chassis than you. I do really hate these corners at Baku. Baku is basically a track that causes me to clench quite a lot. I'm constantly grinding my teeth as I'm driving around it, going, oh my god, I'm going to die any second now. Now, I'm trying to avoid curbs as much as possible here, but you do need to clip him a little bit to get some speed through there. Considering I'm in the points at the moment, I do want to try and keep this position. I don't think I will. My main objective this race is to finish ahead of Grosjean and get 16th position, which is looking good at the moment. Now we've got a Renault on our inside there. I'm going to jump straight into a slipstream. And we've got a Haas there of Magnussen. Going to brake as late as possible. Ooh, squeeze. Take a deep breath. We should be able to get past Hulkenberg here. And good, okay. We've managed to keep 10th place for another lap. This is all going to change in pit stops, of course, because we're only on lap 10 at the moment. Now, I've been doing 50% race distances just because I find them a little bit more challenging. Also, you can have a bit more strategy involved, so you can get away with a 2-stop strategy in a 50% race, whereas with the 25%ers, there's just 1-stop strategies all the time. So it's kind of a little bit frustrating. There was also a bug in the game where 25% race distance in career mode meant that your parts wore too quickly. So hence going for 50%, but they have actually fixed that issue now. So no longer having the parts wear issue, 25% race distance is actually viable once more for career mode. But I would suggest if you like racing, go 50% because it is a bit more enjoyable and you get a bit more out of it. But you're not going to be spending hours upon hours on the end racing. You're only going half distances, of course, so it's only going to take you about 40 minutes to complete a Grand Prix. That was a terrible corner there. So, oh god, what am I doing? I'm just hopeless. When I'm trying to talk and concentrate, when I'm trying to concentrate and talk at the same time, it does not work for me. Simply because I'm too busy talking and not concentrating. My brain cannot do one thing and the other. This is why I don't do live play very often, because I completely suck at it. You'll see here, excuse me, you'll see here with the Haas how much it's catching on me. Now that's without DRS. Oh no, it might have DRS actually. And he can basically catch me along that straight without an issue. A little bit of tyre bumping there with Perez. Hoping I could just about get ahead of him in the pit stops just to give me a little bit of a break from Magnussen. Because, you know, I don't want to have to suck his balls or anything like that. So we're in our pit window now. Let's just check our tyre. So our tyre wear is not too bad at the moment. It's not great, but it's not the worst. I'm going to try and edge out a little bit, just so we've got a little bit better tyres for the end of the race. I might go to lap 12 before I pit. Just to give me that little bit of an advantage for tyre wear. It's not going to be much, but it's just going to help a little bit. Even on worn tyres, though, you can see here with the Force India, I'm pretty much keeping up with it through the corners, but as soon as we get to any straights, there is no hope at all. Getting a little bit of game stutter as well, so it's the trouble with recording a Formula 1 game, so you do get a bit of game stutter. Now what would be really nice here is if we can keep within a second, but we've got no chance. Okay, they're calling me into the pits now.
Up to speed now. Let's get some heat into those tires.
And we're in the pits. Not the cleanest of pit entries, but luckily Magnussen's coming in with me, so we might be able to beat him out.
Exit now. I'll be racing as you leave the pits.
Okay, good. We've got ahead of that group of cars. Now on pit exit. A little bit late on the release of my pit limiter there. Try not to crash it with cold tyres. You can see Hulkenberg has got the undercut on me by quite a fair distance. I've dropped down to 12th. Let's just see on the race director and see what's happening there. So, excuse me. Carlos Sainz is still to pit, so that's good news. Roman Grosjean has got ahead of me, so that is not good news. So he's got the undercut on me. So all I can pray for is he has a mechanical issue, because otherwise he's going to beat me, and he is my rival at the moment, so that will be detrimental to my status as driver, having him beating me like this. Unfortunately, it's very hard when you're in McLaren to actually beat people other than Saubers. Although you can absolutely get some good points in the car, you're not going to be getting them consistently. And when you're at tracks like Baku, like Monza, like Spa, even Silverstone, places like that, you're really going to struggle. I actually did have a very good race at Canada, but I will put that down to the fact that I'm very good at Canada. I think I managed to finish 4th in Canada, or 5th, I can't remember which one it was. I managed to get a P4 at one of the races this season. And just flash back here, because that was an awful sector of me talking and sniffling and snuffling as I go. You will hear my voice get deeper as I go here as well, because I do have a cold at the moment. And when I have a cold, I tend to have a deep, manly voice instead of my usual high-pitched tone. So we're on the soft tyres now, the slower tyre. So this is going to affect us through corners, of course. Not by much, but by a little bit. We are going to be a little bit slower. But the good thing is we have got a lighter fuel load now. Through goes the Fifi there, the Force India. I'll try and get the slipstream, but you can just see it's breaking slipstream now because we are just so far back. I think that's Sainz coming out the pit lane, so we did not manage to get through past Sainz either. So we are dropping back now in the race, and there's not much we can do about it, unfortunately. Sadly, this car lacks the speed to really do much. As soon as you get overtaken, you have nothing to counteract with. Oh god, I hate using flashbacks, but I hate doing live talking as well, because it just takes away my concentration. But yeah, it's one of the biggest issues of using this car as your first car, of course, because the first season in this car is just abysmal. Every race is a real challenge. If you like a challenge, then do it for sure, because I've found that this is really challenging, even though it's not at the 100% difficulty, which normally you have to do to have any chance of getting a challenge in any racing game. I found with things like Project Cars and games like that, I needed to have the race AI up full and basically be driving at half pace most of the time with extra fuel on to be competitive. Whereas in this game, I found it to be pretty good with the AI difficulty. 100% is insane, which is great. It's what you want, because with a steering wheel, you will have problems. You will have the ability to beat them. I think with a gamepad, though, unless you're incredibly talented, which I know some of you are, you won't have much chance, sadly, with 100% AI. Still not to say that you won't be able to beat some of them, but you are very handicapped, simply because of your speed. See here the Toro Rosso going down our outside. We're going to be able to just get on the inside here. Just bang wheels gently, just to let him know who's boss. A bit dangerous with Kvyat, because he might, well, do a torpedo move on me in a moment. Get the Russian torpedo inside of me, no doubt. So he's going to come along. We're going to be on the outside here. Try to brake a bit later, but we will have the inside for the next corner. Didn't give him much racing room. Because we don't want to give people racing room, because if we do, they will be able to take advantage of us. Now, one good thing in this race, I suppose, for me, is Alonso won't be beating me, because his engine blew up pretty much on the second lap. So, there's realism in that part. I guess another thing that's quite realistic for the McLaren... Honda... Totally knew I was going to make that corner then. Didn't have any fear in me at all. Was like, yeah, that's fine. I'm so going to make that corner. One of the other things for the McLaren Honda is the part wear is pretty atrocious on it. I'm already on my third power unit, basically, at Baku. So I'm going to be taking a penalty, probably by Spa, which pretty much lines up to real life. So that's good on the developers. They did a good job there of making the McLaren pretty terrible. Now this is going to be very painful on us from this Toro Rosso. With the Renault engine. Which, if you ever listen to, what's his name? The Red Bull team boss, Thingamajigger, he will tell you it's the most underpowered engine in the universe, and that nothing can compete with it because it's so underpowered. But I do beg to differ, because if they had the Honda engine, I'm pretty sure Red Bull would be in anaphylactic shock right now from the lack of pace that they have in that engine. Just get a little tap there on the back, nothing too bad though. We're racing pretty hard here, because we are racing for... we're not racing for points per se, but we are racing for pride, which is always more important than points. Well, no it's not, but it is nice to have something from a race. I'm still not sure if I'm going to switch teams at the end of this season. I might stick with McLaren and see how well I can do with them. Of course, you have 10 seasons in this game, so got 10 seasons to see if I can improve McLaren a bit. And maybe I'll do that, but I'm not sure if I'm going to move up to maybe Toro Rosso or even Williams or somebody like that. If Renault give me an offer, I may well jump to them as well, because that car is pretty good as well. But it's just the fact of it will make the game quite a lot easier. I've got a feeling if I jump up to one of those top teams, I may well need to turn the AI up again. Simply because you just really will be lacking the AI pace with those faster cars. Toro Rosso is going to go past us again. Jump straight in his slipstream. Start braking there. We're going to brake a couple of meters later. Oh, and that was my mistake. And that's pretty much the end of our race there. Well, that was my mistake. Braked a little bit too late there. Didn't leave enough room and just tapped the wing. So we've got some minor front wing damage. Let's just see how bad it is. So we're missing the end plate, or the right end plate. So we're going to lose a bit of front wing damage. Front wing damage? Front wing downforce here. And we have completely lost that train of cars. They are going to just zoom ahead of us now. But luckily we do have a bit of a gap towards Massa, so we should hopefully be okay for a little bit of time. Just rejigger our driver's style, because let's confirm change. No, I don't want to keep current. Fucking thing. I wish the engineer would actually tell you what the viable change was, instead of you having to read it while you're going around corners at, you know, a couple of 100 miles per hour. So I think he said lap 17, jump onto the super softs. Now, I think that's going to drop us back a fair amount, and I don't think we're going to get the pace to retake positions. So, I'm yawning as we corner. So I don't think that's going to be a wise move. Let's just look at the race director. Let's see whereabouts we're at. So, there's only 2 cars behind us. Our times are pretty consistently a 1:51.1. Massa is a 1:49 on mediums. So, even with the Super Soft early race, we were about a 1:51. So we might drop down to about a 1 minute 50. We're not going to have the speed to catch up to Massa there. His tyres won't degrade fast enough for us to gain that position. So we're better off staying here. And trying to hold this position basically, because 16th is our target position, so if we get that we will score a few extra merit points with the team. And we can hope that a couple of people in front of us drop out. But we'll wait and see. Even with the front wing damage on this McLaren, you still have a pretty decent chassis to get you through. So that's one thing, which is pretty handy about it. You can lose that bit of downforce and you're still competitive in it. You're not going to be as competitive as you were originally. A little bit more front brakes on there just to allow us a little bit of extra bite into the corners. Okay. One of the issues I have as well is fiddling around with systems on the car is I tend to not notice what I'm doing and then crash when I'm doing that. Much like when I'm talking and driving, which isn't very helpful. We can also hope that the cars in front of us are on a 3-stop strategy as well, or a 2-stop, sorry. Because if they are, that will be very helpful towards us. Oh god. Retaking that corner. As I'm saying, we can hope that the cars ahead of us are on a 2-stop strategy. We might well get a position up if they are, but that's the only chance we've got now in this race, unfortunately. So, this is pretty much F1 2017. Guess I could show you the whole race, but it's not going to be much more interesting from here. It's just me on my own. Massa will catch up to me eventually, but it's just going to be a lot of me driving around the problem that I've caused myself with banging into Cravat. Plus my voice is not going to hold up for much more of this video. So I will catch up with you again soon. I'm planning on doing a War Thunder video next, probably. I would really like to get onto the test server and have a play around with some of the new vehicles in patch 1.71. Although you've probably all seen them, so I really don't need to do much, and there are much better YouTubers out there that will have done better videos on it. But I will try nonetheless to get some videos of them, just so I can have a bit of a talk about them. Have a bit of a talk about composite armour, because, you know, that's always interesting. And as you can see here, without part of my front wing, I am actually going faster now, which of course does happen in motorsport. It's great when it happens, because you see the designers pulling their hair out. Why do you think Adrian Newey is bald? All car designers are bald because this has happened at one stage or another. Interestingly enough, when I was working for a racing team called Penske, if you like motorsport, then you've probably heard of them. I also did some small work for McLaren for their heat shielding back in 2000 and 2001. Or was it 2001 and 2002? No, it was 2000, 2001. And I think I did a bit into 2002. But you see that when designers have something fall off the car and the car is faster, the designers are in an absolute state. They get so frustrated and they just do not understand it. They will check every single bit of data and they will complain and they will blame the carbon fibre department. They will blame everybody before they go, oh well, actually it was a mistake in my maths. But that's how designers work. Now, of course, we are a bit lighter here because we do have less fuel on board now, and the track is a bit more rubbered in, so that does help us a bit. Excuse me. So that is a great help for our overall speed, and that is counteracting a bit for our front wing damage, so that is good news. We have got a yellow flag zone at the start-finish line, so I don't know what's happened there. Hopefully it's somebody having problems. I've still yet to see a safety car as well in this game. Ah, good. Perez is out. We will move up to P15. Also, Perez is out, which is always good news. I'm not a fan of Perez, oddly enough. Never have been. A big fan of Ocon, though. He is a very good driver, and I followed him back when he was in the junior formulas. He was one of my drivers that I kept an eye on as they were coming up. The driver that I was most keeping an eye on, though, unfortunately did pass away, and that was, of course, Georges Bianchi. I'd followed him for an awful long time. So we've got a caution up here at turn 1. Car is off the track completely. We will just slow down a bit, just make sure there's no debris on the track. Now, if we get a safety car, we might be lucky here, but I don't think we will in that position. I guess the other thing that this does help us out with is the fact that Massa is closing in on us at a great speed. And we can't really do much to counteract that, so at least we'll still finish in P16. But we'll do our best to fight it. Those yellow boards at that corner really bother me because I think it's a yellow flag every time I go through. Why would you have yellow advertising boards on a Formula 1 circuit? It's just ridiculous. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Perez, and his driving style is, I feel, a little bit too aggressive still. His mistakes, especially at Spa, he really did not give Ocon enough room and cost the team quite a few points there. I really feel for Force India because they're a team I do like quite a lot. So I really hope that they sort out their teammate issues. We're going to lose this place here because look at the speed difference between us and this Williams. Mercedes engine in the back of that is just pulling away from us even before DRS opens. Try and get some slipstreaming here, but as you can see we're not getting much. And we have lost this position. So it's just us and Saubers now. And unfortunately on this track we don't have the DRS capture zone for this section after the other DRS zone, which would make life a little bit easier, I suppose, sometimes. So right now we're just going to cruise along, try and beat the Saubers, and try and get that the car home in one piece now, really. That's my ultimate goal for this race, and also to try and keep the engine as relatively damage-free as possible. So a bit of a engine-saving race now. I might actually switch to lean fuel mixture. Might do that after this set of corners so I don't crash. As you saw there, I can't do two things at the same time. God's sake. Plus, it does not help that I'm starting to get a lot sicker as well, which is really not helping the situation for me right now.
We're seeing minor damage to the front wing. Be easy on the car till we get it repaired. We don't want to risk...
Shut up, Jeff.
Understood, copy that.
We'll try again. One more time through these corners. Just because I'm having a terrible time. Okay, there we go. So, I will leave this video here after that terrible bit of cornering work from me. And we'll call it a day from here. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Bit of a sort of relaxed, chatty video more than anything today. So nothing too impressive here, but I hope it's been somewhat interesting. Not too boring for you. And if it has, and if you've sat through and been bored through the whole thing, then, well, good on you. Well done. Good job. Pretty impressive work there. Alright guys, well, I will see you next time. Thanks all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.